Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm Bob DeMarco. Coming up, a cool new machete from my brother, except it's old. And Apex Alchemy sent me some knives. I'll show you some of those. Show you those. I got a new Ek from my good buddy Doug, and we're gonna have Mike from Northern Knives here to help give away tonight's Gentleman Junkie giveaway knife. You know what it is. A lot of people are excited about this knife. It's the I'm going to use this because my thumb is still a little faulty. The AD-20.5 anodized by Colorful Filth. Beautiful, beautiful knife. We're going to give this away around 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So in about an hour. Stick around for that. There's still time to get on that wheel. Actually, I'm not sure if there is. But yeah, we're going to do all of that and so much more. I got I had a 3-box day. That was pretty amazing. I came home, got something from my brother, got something from Off Grid, and I got something from Apex Alchemy. So a really great day with a lot of cool knives. Marco, how's it going, sir? Evening, Bob and Knife Junkies. Evening to you, Marco. Seems like it was just last week. Trent Costello, how's it going, sir? But are there gonna be any big Bowies? Here, let me head you off at the pass with this beauty. You know what I'm going to show. This is my most recent Bowie, and I don't buy as much as quickly as I used to. I'm holding out for really special things, and this is definitely one of them. Jay Demeter, how's it going? How's it going, sir? Think this is the first time for the beginning of Thursday podcast. Awesome, man. Well, it's good to have you. I know you live in a time zone that's earlier than this one by much, so good to have you with us. Isn't this cool? I just like holding it and looking at myself with it in my hand. Like, look at that. As if, the reflected glory will somehow make me, as cool as this knife. I love this thing. Nice big handle. I do like that you can come all the way up here into this ground fog. Nice to have you here, sir. Good to see you. Come up into this choil that's nicely chamfered and fits great, feels great. You can come back here with the thumb there, or you can come all the way back here for leverage and chopping. This thing is pretty awesome. And I'm very happy to have it here. And Trent, that one is for you. Doug Bowl, how's it going, sir? Thank you so much, man. Hi, Bob and all the gang. Doug, a few weeks back, I'd say maybe a month and a half ago, sent me this very special SOG. And at this point, this is vintage. I put this under the knife cam. He sent me this SOG Sidewinder, beautiful knife. He carried one on duty for years, and this was kind of a backup. The other one cut him so badly, that razor sharp blade and that strong lock. But he figured he didn't need another one. He sent it to me, and I'm so grateful that he did. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And he sent me something else we're going to see during the state of the collection, something very special. Speaking of awesome guys who have sent me awesome stuff, OG Blade Reviews, good to have you here, sir. Evening, Big Blade, Jim, and Junkies. Ooh, I like that, Big Blade. It's good to have you, man. Split and Slices, also. Byron, nice to have you. Hi, Bob, Jim, Mike from Northern Knives and Junkies, a colorful, filthy Thursday night knives. Indeed, a colorful, filthy indeed. Sword XXXY, good day, Bob, Jim, and Junkalos. Good to have you here. Mr. Sword, James Hart, good to have you here, James. Greetings all from Wyoming. Oh, so beautiful out there. Been there once when I was 10 or 11. So a young pup, a tenderfoot, but man, I do remember it and it being beautiful. I believe I mentioned that last week. Anyway, James Hart says, so does everyone have their favorite knife with them? Oh, come on, people. Answer, we got to know. I hope we do, because if we don't, that means we're far afield and we're trying to get home to our loved ones and our favorite knife. Will B, nice to have you here, Will. Evening, Bob, Jim, and Junkies. Will, always a pleasure. Angry Tom, we have Angry Tom's Hat Next Door. Hello, everyone. Well, hello to you, sir. Hope the night is going well for you. If it is indeed night for you, who knows? It might be day. Frankie Frank, nice to have you here, Frankie Frank. It's time. Howdy. How do you all do? You wait. Howdy do to all of you. Sorry. Let me start that again. It's time. Howdy do to all of you. Bob, Jim, and everyone in the building. Thrilled to be here on another episode of Thursday Night Knives. Frankie Frank, it's great to have you here with us. I like that enthusiasm. I like the capital letters and the extra E's. Apparently, if you're in the 14-year-old kind of age range, it really matters when you're texting. How many times you type a gratuitous E is a big one. Yeah, bye. Why, or I guess E. And if you do it a lot, it means you like them or something. I don't know. I don't get it. I asked someone at work, what does dead ass mean? And he just busted out laughing. Benedict Odie, nice to have you here, Benedict. Howdy, junkies. Howdy to you, Benedict. I like the use of howdy. Ryan Walker, nice to have you here. Beautiful. I got the V44X2. I know. It is awesome. And I like the Baldric. Is that what it's called? Option. I guess it's just a strap, but I like how you can just kind of strap this on your chest or around. And I like to have it down, facing downward on the back, a la Book of Eli. The way he has that barong that he pulls out. It works well like that. Just be careful that you don't have anything valuable around, especially living things, and just be very careful. Let me see. Mew, nice to have you here. Or correct me if I'm wrong phonetically in another comment, but I'm gonna go with Mew. I go to bed with my Wingard Empress. Mine is right next to the bed. That's my bedside tomahawk. Thanks to your channel, I sleep well. Cheers. Oh man, that warms the cockles in my heart. And what I mean by that is it's nice to introduce people. And I've introduced you to Wingard Wearables. You now have an Empress bedside, which is a great bedside option on the tomahawk end of things. So well done, sir. And thank you for that comment. Renee Ramon, nice to have you here, Renee. What up, y'all? What's up, y'all? What's up with you, man? I like it looked like a chipmunk with, I'm sorry, maybe I'm thinking chipmunks because they're tearing my lawn up. Oh, it's a dog. I'm sorry, a dog with a lightsaber. That is cute. Donald Fry, he is a new patron. Thank you, Donald. It's great to have you here. Hello, Bob, Jim, and fellow junkies. Hope no. James Hart says, has it been more than 2 minutes? It must be because I have forgotten what we were talking about. Ginger Fisher 75 says, evening, folks. Evening to you and your pooch. Frankie Frank says it was supposed to be pronounced like how Bruce Buffer would say. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's right. It's time. That's him. That's not him. It's only him. And I can't do him. Donald Fry says, hello, Bob, Jim, and fellow junkies. Good to be here tonight. Great to have you here. And actually, we have a number of new patrons. Renee Ramon says, it's a Jedi Dachshund puppy. I love it. Dachshunds, they're pretty feisty dogs. I had a friend who we were trick-or-treating. He bent down to pet this dachshund. And just as the lady was saying, don't do that. And he jumped up and grabbed his lip and then slid down, split his lip. It ended trick-or-treating on like the second house that year. And he had a cool looking scar there, probably landed him girls. May he rest in peace. Where was I? I wanted to mention new patrons. We have some new patrons. I want to mention Thomas Butler. Thank you. Isaiah Ramirez. Thank you. Donald Fry, thank you, sir. Billy Ford, a big thank you to you. Prepper Life, I thank you. Jeff Hamilton, thank you, sir. And welcome back, K Mason. It is great to have you. You can move back into your old room, though your mother has turned it into a sewing room. Just push it aside. She never uses it So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And I know that there's been an influx of people because of this super sweet Demko, which I keep in its tucked safely away in its box because I definitely do not want to jack up this beauty. And I'm going to hold it and show it again. Man, it's cool. So thank you, patrons, one and all, but especially to you, gentlemen junkies, who have a chance to win this on this very same evening. James Hart says, "Here we are. Good evening, all. Are we all happy and sharp tonight?" James, I know I am. You know what? Leading up to this show, quite frequently, because this is 10 o'clock on a work night. Oh man, I'm tired. And then in the last half hour leading up to, or actually it's more like an hour. That's my prep time leading up to the show. I build up, and then before the show, right before it starts, I'm like, all right, we get to talk about knives. Frank says, yes, super enthusiastic because my blades were handmade from Nepal. Nice. It must say it looks and feels fabulous. Oof, that's awesome, man. Pipe smoking trapper. I just got my first briar pipe. Actually, I don't think it's briar. I think it's ebony. I think I cheaped out in the last moment. We'll see. It was a late night purchase. Anyway, pipe smoking trapper. Good to have you here. Good evening, all, he says, and good evening to you. Hey, pipe smoking trapper. If a trapper you are indeed, what is the easiest like trap or survival trap if you have wire or string or something like that? Let me know, and then like by name, and then I'll go look it up later and check it out. I'm just interested. Knives and pizza. That sounds like this night. We got pizza from Anthony's, and one of my daughters has been a contrarian for years about their pizza. It's delicious. She claims she doesn't like it, so she always gets something else. So we got other stuff too. Very good night on the culinary front. Knives and Pizza says, "Oh my God, so pretty." Yeah, thank you. I try, and I got a haircut. I assume you're talking about the Demko. Yeah, it is. It's outstanding, and it's. I haven't held a titanium, all titanium 80-20.5 in a long time, and I forgot how silky smooth, how solid they feel. Ooh, so nice. Doug says, "Bob, what's the status on your thumb? Hope it's coming along well. Thank you for asking." It's in a it's in a it's kind of where it was last week. Maybe I have a little more feeling, and that feeling is pain. it it hurts a little bit. It's now it feels tender. Even though the cut was way down here, it feels tender up here, like a really strong mouse has been punching it and using it as a punching bag for like a week, or like say sometimes it feels like when I wash my hands like the whole thumb is like coming off, and I have to be careful that it's not going to come off. It's a weird feeling. So some oddness happened. Thank you for asking. It's probably way more information than you wanted, but no matter what that very successful orthopedic surgeon said, and he was also very nice and everything else. I think I may have nicked a nerve. I don't know, but I'm holding out hope, and that helps sometimes. David Nephilim Slayer, nice. Good to have you here, David. And man, that's a David and Goliath there. Easiest trap is probably a deadfall. Okay, is that with the rock and the stick and the like? I'll look that up. Deadfall. I have a paper with me tonight so I can write stuff down instead of always writing it on my laptop. Deadfall. I saw something cool. I've been watching these preposterous shorts on YouTube. I love them, but some of them are like these traps that they have set for snakes that are kind of neat. Using electricity sometimes, which is weird. Angry Tom says, have you seen the 8-inch Rough Rider Stockman and Trapper 30th anniversary? I have to have them for my collection. I have not. 8 inches. That's big, especially considering they measure things like Stockman or Trappers in closed length. So that's a big handle. That must be Is that right? 8 inches? That's huge. Or is that the whole point? Is it like a centerpiece on a table, sort of usable knife, but giant sculpture, or giant knife, usable sculpture? James Hart said the nerves are rewriting themselves. Give them 7 to 10 more days. Rewriting themselves. That's good. I like that. That's kind of what I was thinking. I mean, used to be I healed very quickly, but this is a part of getting older that I'm noticing, that it does take a bit of time, a bit more time. Frankie Frank says, how did you cut yourself, Bob? Glad you are recovering quickly. With a kitchen knife and testing it in a stupid way, and my hand slid up onto the blade. Bob, seems like you and I are all thumbs. That's right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Dave had a thumb surgery. Hopefully I don't have to have a thumb surgery either. David Nephilim Slayer says, exactly. I'm glad we agree. Ket McNeshart, howdy knife friends. Evening, Bob and Jim. Ketmuk, it's good to have you here, man. Always know it's Thursday Night Knives when I see Ketmuk. Doug Bowl says, Bob, with pain, it's healing. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, most of the time. And that is a blessing. And you know what? I say, oh, I don't heal as quickly as I used to. I'm lucky. I'm fine. And I'm in good. I'm good. Thank you. Jada Meter says, need to desensitize that scar. Rub with stiff brush or rough scrubbing pad. Yes, Jay, I will do that just after I beat my shins with bamboo. Angry Tom says, yeah, they don't look very practical, but they look pretty cool. Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. It's like the giant Microtech Ultratechs they make sometimes that look really cool. What time should I be in the studio? Hey, you can join us at any time, sir. I usually say right about now. So we'd love to see you. And of course, we'll get your pocket check too. Battle scars, sir. Yes, Frankie Frank. It's true. It's the wages of this hobby. And I got to say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I was being dumb with it, testing it in a dumb way, and dumbness happened. and I have I'm like, oh geez, I guess this is a permanent lesson. Hopefully it's not a permanent lesson, but a lesson that I keep permanently. Will B says, man, this conversation is making me rethink my purchase of the Riot XOK. Oh, don't do that. I'm practicing with the trainer right now. That is a cool, that's pretty intuitive. And there are a number of different ways you can do that. I had fun with the trainer. I was always a little bit fearful of the real one, of the live blade version. But that's because I didn't have it for too long. It wasn't mine. I didn't want to mess it up. The guy who loaned it to me is like, you didn't have it long. What do you mean you didn't have it long? Renee Ramon says, you were spine whack testing the knife, weren't you? Yeah, no, but that's a good one. Oh man, because I do that. I do that with with the button locks, and I've only had one failure recently. But I have a tomahawk over there that's wrapped with paracord, so it's like a firm but soft kind of backing to hit it with. So I'm not hitting it on the table and all that. James Moore, nice to have you here, James. Greetings, all. Bob, did you see the auction knife from David Lespect on IG? No, I did not. I love his work, though. This is your chance for a fancy French front flipper, a quadruple F, an FFFF. Fancy French front flipper. They are so cool. And to me, I like the French knives, but to me, that little group of makers, but David Lespect tops them to me. But who's the other guy I'm thinking of? I'm thinking Goody Van Poppels, but it's not him. I'm thinking of a guy who's got kind of an Italian name, but I know he's French. Someone help me. Perhaps you, James. Todd Carr, nice to have you here, Todd. Evening, everyone, he says. Evening to you, sir. Ryan Walker says, paper in a knife room, not safe for the paper. You got treat the edge like if you get cut, you get teleported to Pluto. Yeah, wait, let me read this again. Paper in a knife room, not safe for the paper. That is true. Yeah. You got to treat the edge like if you get cut, you get teleported to Pluto. I kind of get what you're saying. But yeah, like see, luckily, Ryan, this the knife was very sharp. That's what I was doing with it. I was sharpening it, but I was not paying attention. I was listening to something. I believe I was probably talking to myself, like the curmudgeon I've become. I guess maybe I've always been dormantly, and I pushed it into something, and stupid. Howdy, y'all, says Craig Vincent. Howdy to you, sir. Nice to have you. Jada Meter says that true try it. My sport doctor told me to do it. Are you serious? Nah, that's true. I'm not going to scrub this with a wire brush. Are you nuts? Well, maybe I will, since you're challenging me. David Nephilim Slayer says, I finally got a Pinkerton Lancer. Very nice. That is a cool knife. Did you get a custom one, or did you get the Kaiser? I remember I really started fancying the Kaiser after it went away, but I never thought you can get it custom from him. That's got to be awesome. I love his stuff. I got to have something from him right around here, I'm sure. I always do. Oh, yes. This. Dave has this. I don't know if Dave has sent his back yet. I'm lagging on making the video. I got to make it this week. I've used this a lot. I love this knife, and I really only have 2 comments, and one of them he already knows and acknowledged, and the other is like definitely not a deal breaker if nothing changed in that direction. Perhaps Fred Perrin, says David Nephilim Slayer. Yes, most definitely Fred Perrin. I love Fred Perrin. Angry Tom's, and he's a cool dude too. Here, speaking of Fred Perrin, let me show this off. This is my Ladakh. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. With the leather braided necklace that my daughter has made. She made me a second one, and she owes me 2 more because I bought 4 off of her for $5. And this weekend, she's completing the task. Angry Tom says, Smoky Mountain Knife Work Case Halloween Sodbuster comes out on the 25th. Oh, nice. That's cool that Smoky Mountain does all those exclusives. Adrian Fighter 35. Nice to have you here, Adrian. Good evening, Bob, Jim, and Junkies, he says. Good evening to you, sir. Frankie Frank. Hey, Bob, what's your favorite XL cold steel? Oh, to EDC. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. To EDC, my favorites are, as of recently, the Tylite 6, an old one, an oldie but a goodie, but I only just recently got that. I've really liked carrying that one. Probably the best XL cold steel to carry, in my opinion, is the Frenzy, because the Frenzy has a 5.5-inch blade. It's a hawkbill blade. It's wicked. It would be great on a thrust, outstanding on a slash. It's just a wicked knife, but it's very svelte as well. And oh my gosh, I'm sorry. It all fits in this nice little package that's about as tall as the Tylite, but definitely thinner and flatter than the Tylite. It makes for a great EDC. Great. The Frenzy. Check it out. But also runners up, I'd say the G10 Espada Large is a great one. The XL of that is too big for me to carry, but I love it. And then I love all of the Voyagers. However, they're not my favorite to carry. They're slightly bulky, but also unless you go to the lengths of sanding down under the clip, and I have like 6 of them or something like that, and I haven't really done that. And you got to loosen the clip, and you got to do a little bit of work to get them up to speed to carry them in your pocket. And as far as I'm concerned, they're a little bit bulky for that anyway. So I don't EDC them, but if I'm going for a walk in the park, something like that, it's no big deal to pop pop one of those in the pocket. Benedict Odie says, Bob, you thinking of Bastinelli? Oh yeah, I'm always thinking of Bastin. But no, I'm not thinking of Bastinelli in that case. But I do love Bastinelli. K Mason says, hey fella Ike-momaniacs. K Mason, good to have you here. Welcome back to the fold, to the Gentleman Junkie fold, sir. Hope all has been well. Been a while. Well, it's good to have you back. Always a place at the table for you, sir. Always a place. Doug Bull says, Bob, when having to stand guard on a guy at the hospital. Ooh, I like this. All right. Let me start this from the top. Bob, when having to stand guard on a guy at the hospital who went down on his back riding his cycle, had to scrub his had to scrub his back to scrub out the road rash. Right. I have heard of this. Heard him screaming in the whole ER. Oh, yeah. Yes, I have heard of that. Oh, to get the gravel out. Ooh. Oh, that's brutal. But I guess the whole thing, soup to nuts, is pretty brutal. I used to have a friend who rode motorcycles, and he said this, and I think he said it because it sounded cool, but it made sense to me. He said, "There's only two kind of riders: those that's been down and those that's going down." I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get back in my Honda, and I'll see you there. Angry Tom says, that said, I've always been sort of jealous of motorcyclists. Like, that just looks like the best. Angry Tom says, Bob, are you going to design another Nova knife? I do have another Nova knife design, and it's going to be larger. It's a little bit larger. It's going to be more in the ruffian realm in terms of length and size. Maybe a little bit longer on the blade, but bigger handle than the Nova 1 and 2, but basic same form factor. But there's a special blade that I have in mind for it, and that's why it's got to be a little bit larger. David says, Bastian Cove does artful design. He certainly does. He does. Well, I mean, his whole thing is tactical art. That's his sort of tagline. And it feels really good in hand. And oftentimes things that are very ergonomic have a lot of curves and choils and stuff. The clips are crazy, says Jason. Jason Cosby, nice to have you here. The ergonomics on them are always really good, and it's not like they shoehorn you into one way of holding it. A larger Nova. I might be interested. Yes, and I do believe this will be a double-edged or single edge option. So I mean, you'll be able to get it either way, but I highly recommend double edge, obviously. But for this one, I'm thinking there is a type of knife I will be emulating in this one, and it's pretty cool. Okay. Let's get to a pocket check.
What's in his pocket? Let's find out. Here's the Knife Junkie with his pocket check of knives.
All right. In my front right pocket today, I had a knife that was just sent to me from Off Grid Knives, and that's the Off Grid Mamba V3. And thank you, Carrie. I say there. He sent me this tan anodized with gray blade, and then an all black. And that's the all black. Now, cool thing about this is that it's Magna Cut blade steel and a titanium handle, and it is pretty damn sweet. Wait, I gotta check this. Yeah, it is pretty damn sweet. I've been carrying this for a couple of days now, and this is the Mamba version before it. That's the V2. As you can see, it's very much smaller. This is a 4-inch blade. That's a 3-inch blade. But same basic form factor, same thickness too. Same thickness, which does two things. It makes this feel thin and broad. I like knives like that, like maybe the XL Manix or the Manix or that kind of a knife that has a broader handle and is slender. That's what this feels like. And then also having this width makes this little knife feel more substantial in hand. So this is one of my favorite uh, off-grid knives, and I got a lot of them. I can't say I have them all, but I have most of them. And this is, this is a premium M390 titanium step above type thing. So he took it a step beyond with MagnaCut here, and as usual, thin blade stock with a very thin cutting edge and geometry behind the edge, and then this cool looking file work plus pretty sharp jimping there. So this one will be the Gentleman Junkie knife giveaway knife next month, I believe. I'm thinking it's titanium and MagnaCut. The sweetest version of the Enforcer series. This is the Enforcer, and that's a liner lock with the glass breaker. So basically the same knife in a lot of ways. But this is my favorite iteration so far. And so, yeah, very, very nice knife. Thank you very much, Carrie, for that. Here, I'm going to put this right there and then show you the next one. Is here. This is the Benny's clip from Jack Wolf Knives. This was also a gift. Thank you, Ben. This makes me feel spoiled now. But this is a really, really great knife, as these Jack Wolfs are. You know the story with these. It's kind of like, if you like the way they look, if you like the design, you can count on a few things that it's gonna live up to all of your traditional knife slip joint expectations, and then some. It'll probably be the highest quality slip joint you have, unless you have some custom pieces or something like that. And they are robust cutting tools. Really awesome, but also terrifically pretty if that's your thing, and a great pleasure to have. I have a full collection. I'm a lucky man in that regard. Next up, the Nova 2. I just sent out emails today updating. This is so we have a date of November 30th. I know that I was saying December, but he's saying November 30th, which is basically December, for these, and I'm very excited. And those of you who are watching who have not responded to the email I sent out, I just want to make sure before it gets to engraving or the laser etching part that I have your custom serial number. If you want to do that, you don't have to, certainly. But my brother is doing 351, which is his favorite tax code, 351 out of 15. So it's kind of funny, but it's very unique, and there will be a record of who has what, and I'm excited about it. This is going to be the one change for the whole thing. We're not changing anything on the knife. I think it's exactly how I want it. This, however, is going to be a dark charcoal gray, and then it will ship with this clip. Before it had the smaller clip on it, but I'm liking the larger clip, so I swapped it out with one I already had. We will be shipping it with this larger DCC clip. All right, and lastly, for emotional support, this wasn't necessarily on me, though it was on me for a short portion of the day. It was close at hand, and it's one that I just am crazy about. It is the Station 9 number 8 Sear. And here, I'll put it under here. One of the coolest clip point blades in my collection. And I stipulate clip point as opposed to Bowie. In this case, definitely a clip point, but I could easily flex in the other direction. It has that really, really long swedge. I love that. A swedge starting right up at the handle and going all the way to the tip. It's kind of like a SOG Bowie or a SOG Super Bowie. They have that really, really long swedge. In the case of that knife, it has the Mac V SOG has the double dip on the spine. Well, that swedge goes through both of those dips, and it's dramatic and beautiful, and also adds to the puncturability. This, by the way, is extremely stabby. if you will. Maybe that's not the right term, but it punctures very easily, easier than I expected. When I got this the same time I got the Partisan, which is now discontinued and sold out, which freaked me out. Well, it didn't freak me out. I went to the webpage today, and because I wanted to see, they have a couple of new knives coming out at Station 9 that I'm very excited about. And I wanted to see if they had either a preview or if they had already begun selling them, and neither. But in going there and looking, I noticed that Station 9 is sold out of and discontinued this knife, the little lapel dagger, the OSS lapel dagger, which is just so cool. I wish, and they're such a reputable brand, and they're like the brand to make this kind of thing because that's what their bread and butter is. But this one and the Partisan, the one that looks like the chef's blade repurposed for a trench fighting knife, both historical, early 20th century knives. I mean, early 20, like World War I / World War II knives, and it's sad for me to see them go. So if you like this very practical, awesome clip point blade, which could do just as well as a fighter as a utility knife, I mean, this would be a great camp knife, I think. Great all-arounder. It's 10.95, so it's tough. You should probably get it, because who knows, man, if they're going to discontinue. This is the thing. Companies go out of business or they discontinue knives. So if you get a real bee in your bonnet about a certain knife, you're almost best buying it. And then if you don't want it or whatever, it doesn't live up to the expectations, then you sell it. But man, it sucks getting caught high and dry, like with the wee black cow that I imagined would be there till the end of time. So this is what I had on me. What did you have on you? Let me know down below. And we're going to bring Mike on from Northern Knives, and we're going to find out what he's carrying after we greet him. Well,
hello. Hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
It's going well.
This is Dakota. He's director of marketing and IT and handles our website and all those things. So
very nice. Dakota, good to see you, sir. And man, that's a nice
office. He's the reason
office.
we got all this working.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Well, thanks for getting that. Thanks for getting that going. And thank you also for sending this, man. This is crazy. And people are excited for this night. I'm showing it in the box. I keep putting it back in to protect it, but man, people are psyched about it. I'll put it under the web and under the cam in a sec. So what's going on with you? And oh, wait. Before you even tell me what's going on with you, tell me what you're carrying.
All right.
Both of you.
Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Well, I'm going to hit this little button right here. And
all right. I'll start then. So, are you switching cameras?
Yeah, I'm totally switching cameras.
Good. Everybody loves the dead space.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. So there we go. So we obviously brought one of the prototypes. So I got a Marpion custom UTX 85 pocket comb, a tactile turn zirconium with a custom insert. Got the let's see, I got a TRM Shadow in 20 CV.
Oh, that's such a nice
which has
blade,
it's served me real well. Really impressed with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a my last one today is a so I got a Chris Reeve small Sabenza. Before they were even the 21, this was a custom design they did back when this was the only year they did 1 year of BG42 steel, which is otherwise known as steel plating. So it's almost impossible to get any more because the military gets first dibs and Boeing gets second dibs. So getting BG42 is a bit difficult to get a hold of.
Yeah, you can see it's the older model when you look kind of at the finger choil area. That's how I.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that there's a little difference in the blade, but that's a sweet little piece to have. So are you a lefty? I'm looking at the clip on the TRM, or is that just a secondary?
No, I'm not, but I always carry on both sides.
Okay.
And I like to carry something on my left just to stay proficient. Even though I'm right-handed, I want to stay proficient with. And a lot of times I won't carry an ambidextrous lock on my left side because I want to be able to use either one with either hand. That's just the way it works. When you carry enough, you gotta you got to have access on both sides. But I think
Yep.
the TRM is probably the one to get the most use out of.
Since I have little feeling in my thumb currently as it's healing, I've been switching to the left hand to close everything. Not really for mostly for liner locks and frame locks. It feels weird. So I'm lucky that I'm so used to fidgeting on both sides that it's no big deal. So I'm seeing the prototype there. Wait. Two questions. First of all, seeing it there with the clip point is cool because I'm used to seeing it with the shark's foot, which is,
Yeah.
But pardon me. Question is the fact that it says prototype, implies that this is going to go into some sort of regular production. Is that the case?
Well, it's a limited, non-limited. So basically, what it is it'll be for sale for a month. However many sell, we'll just make that many. So
Okay.
if we sell 100, we'll make 100. If we sell 1,000, we'll make 1,000.
Okay.
But it's only available for a certain amount of time.
Got you. What's the availability range?
So, as far as configuration.
No, I'm sorry. In terms of when it's available until, or how that's working.
when it'll start. So it's for sale currently, and it is for sale for Saturday. Will be week 3.
Yep, it'll be available up until the 24th, and at midnight on the 24th, I'll be forcibly shutting it off and sending out a 1-hour warning to anyone who wants to get one.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we generally make them available for a month, and if you get in, you get in, and if you don't,
eBay's an option.
eBay's an option. The problem is they generally go up pretty high after we get done with them. They usually about double when we're done with them. We always get the odd person who gets an early one and puts it on eBay for $3,000. That happens quite often. I think a spaced out bug out. One of the spaced out bug outs we did with Paul was it was on eBay for like $5,000 for a while.
Whoa.
I don't know if I doubt it ever sold, but they generally seem to sell for around double.
Around 600.
Yeah, about $600 they go for.
So
but this is the go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So this is the all titanium with 20 CV. So the sale price on this knife originally is $330. And so we do the copper thumb stud shipwrecked is a no cost option. Whatever blade style you want is a no cost option. And we charge $399. So it's $70 for the Cerakote, the anodizing, and all the custom work. And including the thumb stud if you want or not.
That is that's a great deal. That's a great deal. I thought it was going to be a lot more than that. I got to be honest.
We try to keep it reasonable. I mean, it's not lost on us that $400 is expensive. We get that.
Yeah.
But we want to, but that's the economy of scale. If we make more, we don't have to charge very much. And we do Cerakote all the time. And just a general Cerakote job would cost you $30-$35, give or take. And the a shipwrecked thumb stud would probably cost you another $25-$30. So, just between the blade and the thumb stud, the $70 is almost taken up. So you get the screws, the back spacers, and the artwork for $10.
This is a shipwrecked thumb stud, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, sir.
That is so cool. So, all right, let's continue this pocket check. What are you carrying, sir?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I have a Demko AD-20.5 in 20 CV with the shark foot, and we Cerakoted it Heathkit brown and put the Heathkit logo on it because I just wanted brown.
Heathkit. What? That rings a bell.
They made all the transistor radio and ham radio kits and amplifier kits back in the 60s and 70s.
In the 70s, yeah, I remember my brother had some. I was born back then. I was alive back then. I remember my older brother, had some Heathkit stuff.
We have a cigar lounge that him and I are owners in, and we have a vinyl record setup. and we use all vintage amplifiers and vintage speakers and all vintage parts. And so he's kind of the expert on that.
Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
all Dynaco gear, but I used to repair Heathkit stuff with my grandfather as a kid, and I don't know, it was a color combo that was going to get thrown in the trash, and I'm like, oh, that's Heathkit Brown. Let's just put a logo on a knife.
So is that something? Is that a one of a kind, or is that something you?
Yeah, that's one of a kind.
Yeah, no, it's not something we're offering. Heathkit is still very much a trademark thing. This is a personal project I did. There was no money that changed hands for this whatsoever.
Yeah, if we sell Heathkit stuff, we get it all the time. People ask us to put pictures like, well, I want a Spider-Man knife. It's like, well, all right, well, if you get a permission letter from Disney, or Sony, I'll gladly make it for you, but they're not going to give you that.
And then I also have a tactile turn mini click with the vaunted 2-bolt clip on there in bronze. And then I've got my little Mementi Mori coin that always goes around with me, and that's about it. That's all I got today.
You're carrying light today.
Yeah, I usually have like a Crew Carta PM2 that I use for boxes that has no choil or anything anymore, or I've got a Malibu that needs a blade replacement because I've sharpened it so much. But yeah.
Oh, that's cool. To get some real serious use out of it. James Hart says, good night, all. Time to find food, kill it, cook it, and eat it. Take care and stay sharp. James, good luck, good hunting, and it sounds delicious and nutritious.
I wonder what he's going hunting for.
I don't know, man. Let us know what you're going to get. So how are things up there in Alaska, man? I wish I were hanging out in that room. That looks like such a cool room. You got cigars, you got whiskey, you got books, wood.
It's starting to get cold up here, to be honest. It was I think it was 44 degrees when I left my house this morning.
Yep. It's just rain everywhere, and it's cold, and it's probably going to snow within the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah. What's funny is our Wi-Fi down here is called Canadian Wayne's World because the first time we ever did a live stream, someone said it looks like you're hanging out in Canadian Wayne's World. So that's kind of what we call this space.
Nice. Well, yeah, it looks like it's just a chill kind of spot. Well, since you're the head of you said head of marketing, right? Or
yeah, that's Dakota.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Well, Dakota, you're putting it in quotes, but is this so? These collaborations with Paul Munko and Colorful Filth, like, how did they come about? And how do you find the reception?
We did, after seeing some other knife companies do something similar, we decided to do a kind of like a raffle. So we did a few posts on Reddit and said if people can submit designs they want put on a knife, we were pretty sure we can anodize the design onto something. And we had a bunch of submissions, four submissions. 4 submissions back in the day. That's how nobody cared. Paul, whose moniker is Colorful Filth, because it's pop art that's usually pretty grisly. He put one in, and that was really cool. And then someone we didn't know was a local, and now we know his Reddit name and his handle and everything, put one in. And the local guy won because it was a random raffle. But we still reached out to Paul, and we're just like, this is really cool. We should work a little bit. And he designed a logo for the Knife Swap subreddit. And then after he saw the artwork that we put on the knife, he reached out to us and was like, hey, I have this logo. Do you think you could put this on something? I was like, I mean, I have no idea, but I'll try. And it ended up working out pretty well. We did a couple of prototypes, and then we decided, and then he came up with some artwork. And so we did our first collaboration, which was the Kaiser Uprising. I think we did 15 of them. No, that was the Quaken. I think we did like 8 of them. Yeah, something like that. It was real small numbers, but it was basically like we made them ahead of time and then tried to sell them afterwards. And then we kind of did that. Then we kind of moved on to the Quaken, and just kind of the projects just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and to the point where it was like, well, now we kind of have to pre-sell them because they're too big for us to be able to figure out. Yeah. Who wants to front, $140,000 in cash, hoping that your product sells?
Yeah, right. Well, do you look for how did you choose the AD-20.5? Is it because it's a great canvas for pictorial anodizing or other reasons?
Number one criteria is it has to be a good knife. It has to be something one of us would own or carry or has respect for. That's the number one criteria. And so what we do is once we find that, it also has to fit a couple other criteria. Like it either has to come with titanium or it has to have aftermarket titanium available, like the bug out.
And then
perfect.
The third criteria is if it has titanium scales in it, they have to be graded at least grade 5, or else the variation between every anodizing run will be like purple. It'll be purple on this one and green on another.
Yeah,
if you don't have like a certain grade of titanium.
We have had a failed project from a manufacturer I won't mention, and we got, so the first thing we do is order up Paul does the artwork. He sends it over. I turn it into kind of a program that we use to run it. And then we order up 10 and we make 10 prototypes. And when we had a failed project where it was like, I think it was out of 16 attempts, we had one successful prototype come out of the process. And so we had to completely abandon that. That's why if you look at, we release them every year, but then there's a 2-year gap. That was the failed project. So we had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
That's got to burn. But you learn for the next one.
Yeah, that's true. And now the projects get big enough that manufacturers kind of know what we're doing. When we call up, it's like when we call up Lynch, and we tell Lynch, like, hey, we do these projects, and he's like, yeah, I know what you're doing. Like, what do you want? And like when we, I talked to John Demko, and just called him up and was like, hey, we're thinking about using the 80-20. Well, I don't mean to, but it's like, we're not just randomly picking these. It's like at this point we kind of have to consult with the manufacturer at this point, because the projects are big enough. You can't just place a 300 knife order and expect it to get placed in a timely manner. You have to.
Well, we learned that the hard way with the Scuba Chef, the Spidey Chef we did a couple runs ago. We didn't talk to Spyderco in advance. And so when we placed an order, we bought the entire North American supply. We
had to go through distributors. And we cleaned out all of North America. Every single Spidey Chef in North America, we cleaned it out.
Yep.
And barely got the project done.
Wow. How many was that?
It was only 100, believe it or not.
No, it was like
God.
112, 114.
No, because we just sold number 100 to a collector the other day.
Oh, okay.
But it's getting more difficult to do, and as we tell the manufacturers what we're going to do, they have constraints on what they want us to do and what they don't want us to do.
Oh, I can imagine.
The
Demko didn't give no fucks, which was awesome.
Yes,
it's just like, do whatever you want, just don't take my logo off.
Spyderco was, they're a bigger company, and they were a little more controlling about, like, if we have to have warranty claims and things like this, like you're not allowed to coat the blade, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do this, and it's nothing on Spyderco. I get where they're coming from, but as the projects get bigger, a lot of companies, they want to direct where the artwork can go, and it's not the way the project works. It needs to, the artist has to have free reign to make the product as good as possible.
Yeah, it's just basically a brainstorming session with Paul over the course of a few text messages and maybe a 5-minute phone call. And then he sends over some ideas for art, and then we all just kind of talk about it, and then we kind of pick one, and then he refines it. And as they're going through the build process and making the first few prototypes, Mike will find all sorts of little flaws that have to change the artwork or change anodizing or change bolt colors, depending on what's going on. And he'll work with Paul to kind of alter the art a little bit to make it flow a little bit better.
We do everything we can to not alter the artist's vision.
Yeah, I would imagine just like when someone designs a knife and then they send that design to a manufacturer, the manufacturer says, well, we got to do this and this just because for engineering purposes. I would imagine here there are all sorts of, you're getting very refined, lines and areas, and I would imagine there has to be the artist has to know that there's going to be some give or take with the person anodizing this, because it's so detailed, and I don't actually really know what the process is, but it can't be easy.
He kind of continually pushes the line. Everything we get is just more detailed than the last. And it's basically, it just pushes me to figure it out. Like, I just have to figure it out, because the last thing I want to do is go back and be like, can you make it less detailed? Because that's antithetical to exactly what we're trying to do. It should be unduplicatable. That's the point.
Yeah.
It should be, if we make 100, only 100 should exist. Nobody should be able to figure this out. And so we never want to dial the project back. If anything, I will talk to Paul and say, look, I figured out how to do this, or I figured out how to do this. Like what Paul used to do was follow contour lines on handles. And that's exceedingly difficult to repeat, because you can't do them all in one step. You have to take the jig down, you have to do other work, you have to put the jig back, but it never lines up. You know, you can see differences with the naked eye. And it took us until the pry bar to figure out how to remove a jig and replace a jig and have it line up exactly to where we're within 1/10 of a millimeter of hitting mill lines, so that to the naked eye, until you put it under a magnifying glass, you don't see the differences. And that's something we tried really hard to do is, Paul, you make it as hard as you can, and it's on us to make it work.
Mike, do you do the actual anodizing?
Yes. I build the programs, I design the coloration. Like Paul does the artwork, and he sends me basically a photograph. And he'll send me like a PDF of like artwork. And so it's my job to take that and turn it into.
He sends you vector files that are true size now.
Yeah, he does send me a true size vector file, but it's up to me to take those vector files and convert them into something that's translatable into an anodizing process.
I'm still surprised by the gray.
You said you make a program. Is this something? All right. So I don't know anything about anodizing, obviously. I just know, like, if you want to make a handle a certain color, you kind of put it in some solution and hit it with some volts.
Yeah. I say program. Process is probably a better word.
Okay.
Because it's not necessarily a computer program. It's a specific linear process. So it's a step-by-step set of something we've developed over the last like 5 or 6 years. So it's like, okay, you do this, and then this, and this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and it's about making little tweaks and little adjustments. So it's like, all right, and then as we figure out, like, I think our first one was like a 4 or 5 step process, and I think this one is somewhere around 37 or something like that, 37 step process. So they just get more and more. It just gets more complex over time, but we get more efficient at it. So even this project, even though there's more steps in this project, this is a faster project than the last one, than the Fallen.
Because you're used to creating the process. That's something about the creative process itself that I try to sell people on, or at least that I've tried to sell my daughters on, is that like coming up with, like, part of the creative solution, part of the creative process is coming up to solutions to problems. Like, that's a huge part of it. But coming up with a sequence of moves or a process that you can repeat over and over again is so satisfying and gratifying when you see it start to pay off. And here, what you're saying is, like, this is way more complex than your first project or than your second or third project, but you got it done in a quicker way because you've worked through that part of the creative process.
Yeah. And that's very much it is. And that's a lot of the hard part is, like early on when we would do changes, like I remember one time, like when we were doing the bug out, and Paul was like, what if we change the color of this screw? And it's like, okay, that's fine. If you're changing the color of one screw, it adds, X amount of time to the project. But if you change the color of that, extrapolated over the entire project, which is 370 knives, it adds 4 days to the project, and an ungodly amount of complexity. Like, and changing the color of a screw on a prototype, no problem. But if you change it over a production run, it's a massive change. So we really have to think about, like, we really have to weigh the pros and cons and the time scale of, like, any minor change we make it's not one, it's 350 changes that we have to make and incorporate into the process. So now the process has to change, and then we have to look at the timeline. How much does this add? And then if this adds something, can we do it without changing the price? Because the last thing we want to do is raise the price, because we pick a knife and we pick a target for what we want to sell it for. We want to keep this as affordable as possible. And I realize that sounds ridiculous on a $400 knife, but that is something we really heavily consider. And so if we want to make this change and this change and this change, and we have to raise the price of the knife by 25 bucks, we will generally not do it because it's such a minute change. And at $25 is not a minute amount of money to ask for somebody, especially when these are already expensive.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're right about that. And that's cool. That's a pretty, straightforward way of going about it, because, the knife itself, without any of your work, is already, not an inexpensive knife.
$330 is not a cheap knife.
No, but then you add, the original artwork and your anodizing process. It reminds me a little bit of, what is it, monotype printing, I think, where you build a picture through adding different colors,
like plate printing.
Yeah.
Where they have like the little markers in the corners. In fact, my mom actually ran a print shop for most of my life, and that's
cool.
In fact, all of our templates have those little corner sections so you can line everything up. That's part of the process because it's very much like layer printing, but we're doing it with a solution and and voltage, but it has to be infinitely repeatable. And it has to be to the point where any single one in the process, somebody should be able to take it. And, I have a drafter's magnifying glass, with the ring light around it. And I'll do one, when we do the prototypes, and it's like you carefully inspect every single one. And then you do 3 or 4 of them and you look at every single one and make sure I should be able to mix them up and not tell which one I did. Everything should be perfect down to the magnification to where I should not be able to tell the difference between one or another, right down to coloration, right down to all the little infinite details. And that's, it has to be, every single one has to be perfect. And what's funny is, we get people saying all the time, oh, well, these are the prototypes. These are the best of the best. The prototypes are the worst of them. Like none of the production knives will have any of the flaws that the prototypes have. That's why they're prototypes.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, what's your scrap? Your scrap pile must be pretty sweet. But I mean, like, how many, when you buy a bunch of AD-20.5s in titanium, how many do you buy for slop, so to speak?
So prototype failure rate is right around 30%. That's acceptable to us. But production failure rate should be less than 3%.
Okay.
So if we do 300 knives, I should mess up less than 9 of them. That's kind of ideally what we shoot for. And that's what the whole prototype process is about, is figuring out how to make sure that it's a foolproof method, that the customer gets something perfect. And even if I miss something, it's so minute that it's something that I would find and they would not. And that's kind of the point of it.
And then the Cerakote on the blade is a whole other ball of wax. It's a completely different process. And cool thing that it might be hard to see, but I'm going to put this up close to the camera, are the bubbles. I love the bubbles.
The bubbles.
I think I called it the bubble whimsy Cerakoted blade.
So many people love
Bubble
the bubbles.
whimsy.
I really didn't think it would go over as well as it did. So many people love the bubbles.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And the funny thing is I was assuming somehow that they were all shark foot blades, just because of the theme, and but I like seeing it.
The shark lock is the crux of the theme, but we want to give people options. So that's why the blade shape and thumb stud choice are no cost options. Pick anything you want. The price doesn't change. We don't charge for it.
I love the clip point blade. I like Demko's every clip point he ever designed. I love. So with the what's the deal with this? And we're going to give this away in just a second. But what is the deal with the shipwreck? What is shipwreck? I see that on the thumb stud here.
So it's where you force age copper with an ammonia salt solution, and then you seal it so that you can keep that pretty green and black patina on there. So, I mean, you can take any new copper item and make it look like it's been sitting on the bottom of the ocean for the past 80 years.
It's kind of a unreasonably toxic process.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of ammonia and salt, and then it off gases some other chemicals, so it's not pleasant.
We're lucky to be able to use our Cerakote setup is we don't have a bead blast cabinet. We have a bead blast room where you wear a Tyvek suit and a whole apparatus. Okay. And then we don't have and then we have a paint booth as well. And so we're lucky enough that we can move the shipwrecking process down into our paint booth with an evacuation system. So we don't kill one of us trying to do it.
Yeah, no, it's not a pleasant process. And if you're around it, you burn your lungs. So
that's awful.
Yeah.
But it looks pretty damn cool. Yeah. I've seen various YouTubers that I like Jared Neve. I've seen him do that. Shipwreck some things. I guess it's copper, you say? It works on copper.
My little Mementi Mori coin from earlier is copper, and that's been patinaed black, and then I sealed it with enamel so it doesn't fade. Sorry, didn't think to do this quick enough.
It looks great though. It's actually cool, and it's cool how the camera is totally out of the shot. All right, I think we need to give this away. I think people want to know if they are going to be the owner of this knife, and I totally get it. All right, so let's bring up the list of Gentleman Junkies. It has expanded a little since last time. Thanks to Northern Knives, guys. Thank you. We've had 5 new patrons, which is awesome. And I realize sometimes people are in a revolving door, and I get that, but we appreciate it nonetheless. Let's start off with 5 door. We got Ben Belkin, Billy Ford, Byron Kennedy, Cam Michael, Colin Maison Pierre, Craig Vincent, Donald Fry, Doug Bowl, Edwin Callow, Gavin Kalitis, Isaiah Ramirez, Jay McConnell, Jeff Hamilton, Jeff Wright, Jesse Tellis, Jocks Knife, JVF, Kate Mason, Larry Elizondo, Mark Salva, Martin Gamboa, Never Enough Knives 007, PJ DOEF, Scott Nelson, Sean Curry, Stephen Michael Robert, Thomas Butler, Tony Kim, V2, Northern Knives. Thank you guys. And Will B. Thank you, one and all. Thank you guys. Greatly appreciate your patronage. And if you weren't on that list, you're one of several people who are a traditional junkie or a gentleman junkie or a tactical junkie. I appreciate you as well. I know a couple of you are here, like James. So let's put up the wheel, Jim, and let us take a spin. Man, I need a little bit of water.
Does Jim ever appear on camera?
I've never seen him.
Yeah.
Jim used to appear on camera when we very first started, almost 6 years ago. But he's so much more into the producing than he ever has been into knives. So he jumped behind the camera. Alrighty, let's do this. And okay, gentlemen, please do me the honors of a countdown.
Go for it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
Nice. Starting from 5, I like it. I lose track if I start that high. Where's it going? Who's winning this? Craig Vincent. What do you know, Craig?
Northern Knives.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Good.
Congratulations, Craig.
Yeah, Craig. Well done. I thank you for your support, and I thank you for your support with this beautiful knife. I will get this on the road to you probably tomorrow. So I believe I have your address, but if you don't mind, send it to me again, TheKnifeJunkie.com at Gmail, or no, I mean TheKnifeJunkie at gmail.com, just to put it at the top of my list. I know I have it at the very beginning of your Patreon membership, but if you don't mind, congratulations, and thanks to everyone who who competed to get this. I'm very, very excited to give it away and get it out of my possession at this point, because it's been kind of like this precious thing lurking around, and I'll pull it out. This is the first time I haven't taken off my wedding ring when handling it, frankly, because I just forgot. But like worried
should we send you 2 next time so you can keep one?
I'm not gonna. I mean, what am I going to say?
You're so generous.
No?
I mean, I watch, because I watched every week. I mean, and you're always so like, oh, I got this from so and so, and you guys can have it. Like, it's always really cool that you do that to your Patreons. Like, you're a very generous guy, and I really enjoy watching your channel.
Oh man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And my generosity, a lot of it, most of it stems from the generosity of viewers and friends. Dave, chief among them, and others. So yeah, I really appreciate everyone's help. And I love giving away knives because I know how cool it is to receive one as a gift. Have a Knife Day says, good evening. Oh, good evening, junkies and value guests. I finally get to sit down after accomplishing my pre-trip honeydew tasks. Well, I'm not sure where you're going, Have a Knife Day, but it sounds like it's going to be awesome. And thank you I saw you got back to me about your serial number. I will see what it is when I crack open that email, but thank you, man. Kay Mason says, has there been a shop tour of Northern Knives?
I mean, can you take a shop tour on Google? I don't know if you can.
You can take a sales floor tour. We've got a 3D tour on our Google Maps listing, but
to actually walk through the workshop we have a very timid insurance company. So we get a lot of like, oh, will you teach me how to grind or teach me how to do this? It's like, oh, I'd be happy to on your grinder at your house, but my insurance company will not allow that. Well, we have, this isn't like, we're not a knife maker out of a garage. Like, we started off as a retail shop, so we have to have insurance and workman's comp and those kind of things. And so to bring a customer into the workshop it's a tricky road to navigate. It's not something we can generally do.
It'd be like getting a tour of a machine shop. So like, I mean, they're better than us, but like getting a tour of like Boeing's, repair facilities, like that's not really a thing.
I bought a plane.
Are they better than you? Really?
Yeah, no, it's a functioning machine shop and manufacturing facility. So like,
well, I mean, we're happy to give tours.
Wait,
come in and take a look around. What's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm gonna put a tack in that for a second. Just say, Have a Knife Day says, I'm going to not just Mississippi Knife Show. Oh, that's awesome.
That's
what I was
cool.
gonna say is, you could videotape, shoot a shop tour and put it on YouTube.
We've thought about it. To be honest, our shop is pretty. I was gonna say small, but I'm gonna go ahead and say efficient.
Yeah.
So it's about 25 feet by 25 feet, and in that we have 2 lasers, 4 grinders, 3 buffers, all kinds of equipment, drill presses and bandsaws,
and then a 40 by 40 space in the basement with the heat treat oven, Cerakote facilities, bead blast booth, paint booth.
It's kind of it's
ancillary equipment. Yeah.
It's kind of a little bit of showing people how the sausage is made. Like, the product looks much better than you would think, than the shop looks that you would think it would come out of.
Yeah, it'd be like turning this camera around. Like, you don't need to see any of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if we turned this one around, you'd be appalled at what you're looking at. It's a monster fridge and some old cabinetry that someone that we bought off Facebook Marketplace.
It doesn't have to be real. It just has to look real, as someone I work with loves to say. Oh wait, let me show you guys something. Hang on. So I got a number of things. Do you know? Well, first, let me start with this. My brother sent me this. This was a random gift. He's given me a lot of really, really cool stuff. He gives me a lot of like historical stuff. And this is a machete, and it says 1943 on the sheath here. and it's got cool writing on it. You know, I love this kit from World War II or Korea or whatever, where you'll see guys have personalized their stuff. But really nice old blade. I'm pretty sure this is original. Digston US 1913. 1913 being the pattern, not the year it was made.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the kind of random stuff my brother might send me in the mail. Which
I wonder if that's would that be I almost wonder if that's a Bakelite handle. If that's the
I'm
original
pretty
handle.
sure. I'm pretty sure it's Bakelite.
If that's the original handle. That's a really nice piece. That's very cool.
Yeah. I'm very very happy to have this. It's going to go on the wall probably behind me. Also, this sounds cool. Listen to this. Like they have the throat is metal lined, so
Oh, geez.
I mean, come on. How cool is that? It's like, it's what swords sound like when they're drawn in movies. And I'm always like, there's never metal there next to a sword. You know, it doesn't go
Every
shing.
time they move a knife in a movie, it's all shing, shing, shing. It's like, what are you rubbing that against?
What's it shinging against?
I can't watch a movie with my knife with my wife where it has knives in it, because I've been like, oh well, it wouldn't happen that way, and well, you can't have that, and that grind's not possible, and it would have been dull, and you're not.
John Wick is a wussy. He has to use 2 thumbs to close this microtech.
Yeah, right. Or it's like, really, a Spyderco police because he's a police officer? Really?
It's a little too on the nose.
Yeah, exactly. K Mason says, like my maker friend says, you don't need a huge shop to make great stuff. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've had guests on quite recently who are making amazing knives, who are doing it outside and carrying their stuff out each time, plunk, making their knives, going back in. It's really not about the equipment as much as it is just desire to do it, you know, and just doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, when we started, I mean, our first shop was it's like a 14-foot counter with 1 grinder and 1 buffer and like some tools, and then it split into. So now we had 2 counters, then we had 2 more grinders and another buffer and a drill press,
and then a CNC.
Yeah, and then added a CNC, and then added a laser, and then added drill presses and bandsaws
and like, another laser.
Yeah, and it just it just grows, but it's like. But we're kind of out of square footage where we are. So like the next, like buying another CNC means a new building, but it's going to have to be an offsite thing because we can't leave that. We've been here for 25 years and we're in the middle of downtown, and our building is a horrid bright yellow. Like everybody knows us. We can't leave. So we have to be here forever. So our shop is the size it is. So when we buy a new this or a new that, it's like, all right, well, find a way to cram it in.
Mike, did you start this? I mean,
I did not. No.
Okay.
So the guy that started it in '99, I grew up. So he used to live back in Kansas City where I grew up, and I was friends with his son. So it was a father-son operation. And I lived down in Arizona, and my buddy, we were talking and going back and forth. And I'd been up here before, like going snowboarding and stuff. And he was like, my dad wants to retire. Do you want to buy a knife shop? And I was like, I'm in. And so now I'm here.
You crazy son of a bitch.
I'm in.
Yeah.
And so
running from the law, were you?
I'm 13 years in. So I've been here about half of its operation.
Okay. Oh, that's because I was going to say, I mean, I know you were alive 25 years ago, but man, were you coming up with a shop? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Split and Slices says, Bob, please ask Mike if one orders a Demko CF Shark, may one get an adder charge for a blade engraving? Let's see.
Yes, 100%.
Wait, what's an adder charge?
Request a number if you want engraving, anything you want. Like, I mean, we're making these to order. So if anybody has a request, like I think we have probably 17 or 18 serial numbers already requested, but they're all kind of on a personal level. So like, I mean, number 69 is always requested. So that one's taken. Number 1 never leaves the shop.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like if you want a number or if you need an engraving or anything you want, like we print out, like every time somebody buys one and makes a request, we print out all those requests, and all these knives are made to order. If you want to make it your own, make it your own. There's a few requests we won't fill, but engraving is not one of them. If you want a custom engraving, 100% we'll do that for you.
Okay, I gotta ask, what kind of things don't you do?
We won't make anybody a one of one, and once they're over, we won't make you another.
Oh, okay.
So like,
Yeah, fair enough.
so if you wanted one that was like, I don't want it with 20 CV, I want it with S35.
Mm-hmm.
That's a request we won't fill, because we can't make you a one of one. It's not fair to all the other people.
Yeah.
And
It's
also,
also it's incredibly undoable. I would like that in terms of business. I guess that would be very.
I mean, we could call up Demko and just be like, well, send us one in S35, but it's kind of not fair to the other people that order, and it's like it's kind of it's not in keeping with the quality and the consistency that we want to provide. It's a little bit more of like, if you want to talk outside of this project and talk about a one of one. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, you have to pay a one of one price.
Sure.
So but we will do it, but it's not. But other than that, if we can accommodate, we absolutely will.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense too. About, I mean, there's some. It's not about. It's almost like the project isn't about like getting a different steel or the kind of steel that's on the blade. The project is about the collaboration with the artist, and then you being able to pull off the kind of anodizing you've never been able to do before, and it's about all that stuff.
It comes back a little bit to where we were talking about, like, if you make one change, that's fine, but if you wait one change over 350 knives, it adds a week to the project, 4 days to the project, and it's kind of like if we allow X amount of variation, it makes the project undoable. And instead of being able to complete the project in 2 months, 3 months, it drags it out to, I don't want a 6 month project, because people get pissed off when they have to wait that long for something they pre-ordered for. I mean, they gave us money. We have an obligation to deliver a product in a timely manner with X amount of quality control. And so
Lee Iacocca over here.
Well, I'm not trying to be that way, but like I always picture, like, if I was buying this product, what would I want? Well, I don't want to wait 6 months for it, because I'm just giving you a business loan at that point with 0 interest. I want a product in a timely manner with an X amount of quality control. And so I always think of it as like, if I'm buying this, what do I want? I want it quick, and I want it done well.
That's an interesting point you raised there. And I just did a recently finished a pre-order for this custom knife I'm doing with Hogtooth. And that's right. Those I should thank the people who bought that knife. That's really what it is. Not that I was earning, well, not that I guess maybe I earned a fraction of a penny of interest during the period of time I held that money. But the point is, they didn't have it. I had it. So yeah. Luckily they will be getting an amazing knife, and hopefully they consider it a timely amount of time of being handmade. But yeah, that's a very interesting point you raise.
Yeah. I mean, if we're playing with their money, I feel like we have a fiduciary responsibility to do the most responsible thing with their money. And the most responsible thing with their money is to provide them what they paid for as fast and cleanly and as possible. That's what a fiduciary would do. We don't buy Microtex and Benchmades and then like, oh, we'll get to your project later. Like, that's not how it works. That's not what they paid for.
So Split and Slices thanks you for your answer, but I think he was getting more at like a gift blade engraving. Like if he wanted to buy, his buddy Bob. No, I'm just kidding. If he wanted to get his friend an AD-20, could he get it from you and then just have his name engraved on it or so? Is that the kind of thing you also do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll do it all the time.
Okay.
Yep.
100%.
Easy peasy. Lasers are the future, and they're amazing.
We should probably mention our laser has failed, which is not uncommon. Our laser has failed over the last, let's say, 7 years. Our laser has failed probably
actual failure 3 times.
So we've had 3 power supply failures and 3 motherboard failures.
Yeah.
So it's failed 6 times over the last 7 years. Usually it's an easy fix. I can take it apart, rejigger it, figure it out, no problem. We've had a pretty significant failure, and to the point where I had to order new parts, which are kind of special order only. So they're about The parts are about a month out, but it shouldn't delay the project because as the knives show up, they go directly into Cerakote instead. So the work will still be getting done. So hopefully it doesn't delay anything, but we've had a pretty significant laser failure that I've been trying to solve for the last 3 days, and it's not looking like it. But parts are on the way, and I'll rebuild the laser as I've done several times, and we'll get it figured out. But yes, to answer his question,
that's pretty. You can do that, and that's lasers are amazing. Derek says they gave me and my brother back-to-back serial numbers on the Munko Zombie PM2, and I didn't even ask. How cool is that? I just told them in an email we both ordered one and was asking for an estimated time. It was cool as F. We ordered like a week apart. That's really cool. That's cool, knowing that they would probably like that. You know, a cool thing about lasers, this right here, these jimps on this, wait, is the jimps on this are done with lasers, and the last one he did it with files, and man, I gotta say the laser feels good. I want to show you this real quick. Doug Bowl, one of our patrons, he was on the wheel. He gave me this knife. This is the Ek Commando dagger. Are you familiar with this knife?
We've had plenty of EKs to the shop. I mean, they've been making daggers since
World War II.
Yeah, something like that. I think the company changed.
Your dad was a sparkle in your kids' eye.
Company changed hands in the late '90s, I want to say, and they kind of took a new direction. But EK daggers, 100%. I think they're fantastic knives.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, incredibly generous gift from Doug Bowl. Hot on the heels of his gift of that SOG. There's John Eck Commando Knife Company. I love the cross daggers, but look at the grind on this. It's like, you know, such a shallow bevel. It's almost like a Scandi grind with a secondary, but it's still wickedly sharp. But look at what it gives you. Look at that tip. That is not going to.
That dagger with that kind of grind. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't even break it off in someone if you had to.
Yeah, exactly. If you had to. Yeah, I think Doug was planning when he bought this to carry it in the waistband, you know, just EDC it. But it does have a pretty large handle. It has a pretty large handle. And I always noticed that from the picture and wondered why. But now that I have it in hand, it's so that you can hold it in a saber grip, I think. So you can extend the thumb all the way. You know, obviously you can't do that sort of grip. So the length of that handle really allows for giant mitts to use this, but for people with normal sized hands to actually have a saber grip on it with the thumb.
Yeah, it's always that hand and a half handle is always real important on a dagger, since you can't go up on the top of the blade. A hand and a half handle on a dagger is really important.
I always figured it was so you could get a second hand on there if you needed to.
So
more like punching in.
Push down.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And it's funny. I actually never really noticed hand and a half on daggers as a thing, but on this, it jumps out at me. Oh, wait, this was my favorite purchase from Blade Show. And this is the Ek Integral from,
very cool.
From Alan Olishowitz and Les George. They teamed up to do this. And it's the first integral knife I've ever had, but you can see the echoing design there. Man, I love this thing.
I've always been a fan of Alan Olishowitz. I really like his designs. Always done really cool stuff. He got into pens and watches for a while. Like, I mean, just a super talented machinist, super high quality, a very good design language. Olishowitz is fantastic stuff.
He's really he's a real artist too. He's got that sort of meticulousness, and his shop, just, I only know this from videos, but his shop is immaculate. And
he's a perfectionist.
A buddy of mine was at the SIG shooting camp and happened to be teamed up with him. Didn't know him. He texted me, "Do you know who Alan Alicia was?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, he's been on the show." He's like, "Oh, he's my partner." The dude, I love telling this story. I'm sure everyone's heard this before, but everyone at the SIG shooting camp was, when my friend was there, was all kind of tacticaled out with their load-bearing equipment and their drop holsters and the whole 9 yards, all looking like special forces operators. And Alan Olishowitz kind of walks out in a pair of jeans with a blazer on, and smoked the whole course, like, just walked through it looking totally cool and relaxed, because he was forced recon,
Yeah.
So
like that guy in the Olympics from Turkey.
Yeah,
he just walks out there with no hearing and just crushes it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, real mensch. It was cool to buy that knife from him too. So do you guys do fixed blades? Like what? It sounds like you have the equipment to make anything. Are you doing that?
We make 3-dog knife.
3DK.
Yeah, 3DK. So if you look up 3DK or 3-dog knife, that's us. So the original knife we did was a knife called the Severance. We built it for a drug interdiction team out of Hawaii. So they would fly in into like illegal like pot growing fields, and they would chop them down. So the Severance has like a counterweight to it. It has a non-hotspot handle. It has a recurve to a modified Tonto, so it does like a 200% like a kukri. And then after that, we got into the MAC, which is the multiple animal knife. So that's basically what we did is, so we used to sell the Fall Niven F1 for Alaskan hunters. I mean, it was because you need kind of a bigger knife, but you want something nice, and the convex grind and everything. So we started making the MAC but nobody liked the rubber handle. Can I get this in moose? Can I get this in,
G10,
ivory or just
anything.
anything? And so couldn't offer it. So then I designed the MAC, and we started making the MAC. And then we got into, I designed a knife for the NRA to sell at fundraisers. And it was a big bellied skinning knife. But I gave them exclusivity on that for a year. So I modified it into like a big chunky Tonto, and we call that the Riot. So then we started making that. After that, we got into a bush knife with a strike saw, like how the Tom Brown tracker has a strike saw on the back. We got into that, and that's called the Amok. So we make that also. We have a
fillet knife.
We have a fillet knife called the Fisher that a lot of commercial fishermen use up here. It's kind of big. It's 8 inches because it's an Alaskan fillet. We make a 6-inch variation, but a lot of the guys generally up here easily get 30 fish out of it because some of the commercial guys will get 60. So we make those as well. And then we have
several thumb tips as well.
Yeah, and then we have a folder project in the works, and that's probably about all I can say about that.
Oh, cool! That's exciting. Is that a collaboration?
No, it's my design. Although we do have to have some parts made out of state. That's the problem with Alaska is you if you want to make all your knives in state, you top out at about 500. Like the size of the heat treat oven, just the amount of thing you can like. Our heat treat oven will do about 13 knives at a time. And we have one of the bigger ones in the state. If you want to do like LMAX or M390 or anything good, and you can go anywhere and get 1095 done. But if you want good stuff, you top out at about 500 a year. But we constantly had just empty display cases, so we had to outsource heat treat. We had to outsource instead of putting plates of steel on the CNC and profiling them. We have to have them laser cut in the lower 48 because it's just the only way to get it done. Otherwise, we just never have any inventory. And so the same thing with the folder. All of our stuff qualifies for the official Made in Alaska seal. We've discussed this with so it's a fine line we have to walk between like why don't you make your titanium screws in Alaska? It's like, well, because making titanium screws in Alaska is impossible. So we have a guy down in the lower 48 make titanium screws for us. So it's a fine line to be able to have a folder made in Alaska. There's only one other guy making them, and I think they're $9. They started about $900.
12.
Is it 12?
1,200.
Okay, so they start at $1,200. So asking someone to pay $1,200 for an Alaska-made folder is something we can't stomach. So we've been working for the last several years trying to make an Alaskan-made folder, and we should have prototypes before Halloween.
Oh, that's
with
exciting, man.
titanium steel.
Yeah,
With what?
with a very special steel that we have held back for 12 years. It hasn't been made in a long time. There's Russian clones out there of this steel, but the actual steel we have hasn't been made in 12 years. And we've held it back for a long time. So the prototypes will be made out of that. The production run won't, unfortunately, but we're
what you're saying is you've been sitting on the raw steel or the bar stock or whatever you want to call it, and you're finally bringing it out for this.
So
that is
we're
cool.
finally using it. You know, it's like what project do we have coming up with that's deserving of this steel? And there just wasn't one. And then folders kind of was it.
Is it a name that people would recognize?
Yeah, so we have some of the last. So when Crucible Particle Metallurgy stopped making CPM S125V, Niagara, which is their customer-facing business, had a little bit left, and we bought it all. And so we've been sitting on it for 12 years. And so our folder prototypes will be actual legit CPM 125V from Crucible, not the Russian copy. Actual CPM 125V will be our prototypes for our folders.
Wow. So what I don't know. I know it's a rare steel, but what are the hallmarks of that steel?
Well, so they originally made it for dental tools, and they stopped making it because it was beating up their equipment. So the steel, even in its annealed state, was causing their their expendables. They were going through expendables so quickly it wasn't worth it to them to produce it anymore. So they stopped making it. Because even in its annealed state, it was too tough.
Yeah.
And so they just gave up.
at the Niagara shot? I mean, at the
okay. Yeah.
Oh my
Crucible
God,
decided it was not worth it because they were losing money on it because it was beating up their equipment, and so they just gave up. And then whatever Niagara had left, we called up Niagara and we're like, we'll take it. And so we sat on it for 12 years.
So are you now going to? That's pretty cool, by the way. The waiting part is pretty cool, but are you factoring that into your process? Is it going to slow you down a lot knowing that it's such a tough steel?
No, because only the prototypes will be 125. The actual production knives, when we actually make them at a larger scale, unfortunately won't be 125 because the only 125 left is Russian 125, and we're not going to do that.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. So they the royal created and perfected the steel, and then they kind of came along and bit off our stilo a little bit. Yeah, that's what they like to do. So all of the knives you were talking about, you were describing the different knives. Are they in constant production, or do you kind of go through?
Ish.
Yeah, there's runs, but it's basically
we kind of do runs and drops, like the riots that we make, the smaller Tontos. Getting steel thick enough for them was they changed tariff laws. So to be able to import something from Bowler in that thickness, the tariff was so high that Bowler wouldn't do it. So for years we couldn't get steel thick enough, because that's the thing about the riot is we always say it's like you should be able to pound it into a tree and use it as a step. It should be the toughest thing you've ever used. Like in fact, like even like prying or whatever voids a normal warranty does not void our warranty. We don't do that. So if you break the knife and you survive, we'll generally fix it.
We want to know how you broke it, but
you have to tell us that.
Yeah, well, I mean, and send pictures too. Okay, so here's the website, and then at the top of the site you saw the area where you can pre-order the Colorful Filth Northern Knives Deep Dive Demko AD-20.5, and that's exactly the same as the one that you sent me. That is now Going out to
Yeah.
Craig Vincent again. Congratulations, Craig.
Congratulations, Craig. I hope you like it.
Yeah, and if you don't, you can send it right back to me, Craig.
I mean, you know how to find
I'll
us.
take care of
If you
it
don't
for
like
you.
it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You can trade it in for something more unique.
We have a trade program.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
You do?
We love wheeling and dealing, and if you got something interesting or mundane but still a nice knife, you just contact us. We'll give you trading credit.
Yeah, if you got something in the safe that you don't use or something that sits around that you don't use, send it in. I mean, we had a $2,000 full titanium Demko AD-20 custom. $2,000 knife. You know, that's an expensive knife.
That was a hand ground blade. And
yeah,
all that. Yeah,
fully hand ground, full Demko custom.
Actual Demko knife.
And there was a guy in the low 48 who sent in, I want to say he probably sent in 17 knives. It was just like, here, I'll trade all these in, and we assign a value. And we don't screw anybody either. It's like, if we're going to sell it for on the shelf for $190, we'll give you 190 in credit. There's no difference.
Oh,
we don't work profit margin into trade deals. If we're going to sell it for 190, you get 190 in credit. And so this guy sent in a whole bunch of, I mean, he sent in like Civivis and Wee knives and shit like that. And we mailed him a $2,000 Demko custom because what he wanted.
Oh my God. You guys are the answer to my wander. I have a lot of knives, and yeah, I'd like to trade some of them in. They're great. They're hard to part with. They're hard to sell individually. You know,
I mean, if you've ever craved a Shirogorov, now's your chance.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is like even the prices that we assign, like, I mean, Google it. I mean, we're looking them up just like you are. If we assign a value of $280 and you find it for sale for $350, we're not trying to screw you. Yeah. We'll give you $350. Like if it's legitimately sellable for that price, you Google it just like we can. So we don't try to work any extra cheese into the deal. Like if you trade it in, we'll give you what it's worth in trade.
So you mentioned Shirogorov. It doesn't happen to be an F95 with green micarta.
I think you mentioned Shiros, but I don't think we have any Shiros in stock right now.
We still have one, don't we?
I don't think we have a Shiro in stock right now.
That's a category on the website.
Don't look it up right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
later,
and though I like the Shirogorovs, there are plenty of other. I'm kind of in a fixed blade phase. Always, I'm always vacillating in and out, but yeah, I just like knowing that there's that you guys do these trades. It's cool. It's another thing to sell them. That's great when you can sell them, get a little money back and stuff like that. But if you're just selling it to get another knife, it's great if you can work out a trade.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's sold a game at GameStop and been like, this is not enough money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody kind of gets that. So that's why the trade program. So ask us to buy it. It's a different thing, but trade in value is. I mean, we'll 1-to-1 you. You want to trade it in? We'll give you what it's worth.
So what do you? You can both answer this question individually, but what do you guys liking the most right now? Like that you're seeing from companies coming out, like. Especially in terms of folders. I need to kind of bring myself back to folders a little bit. What are you guys loving right now?
Man, I've been on a TRM kick lately. That's why I'm carrying one now. Mm-hmm. I really like that. We have an all titanium Atom, I think, in the store right now.
Oh, nice.
TRMs are pretty dope. I have an Urban EDC that I like right now. The F5.5. It's a great knife.
Oh, yeah.
Man, there's so much new stuff coming out. I mean, if you even talk about Wii or Civivi, like you could spend hours just talking about the 300 models they have available. It's a little ridiculous. But I don't know. What do you think? Hold on. I have to step off camera real quick. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I think for me, at least, with current trends in knives, I like anything that there is a move now that the Axis lock has gone to public domain to do bar locks across the board so that you can have a one-handed operated knife, which is really nice. And I'm also really enjoying that the plunge lock or the button lock flipper with bearings. Lots of companies make them. Protec's the biggest one right now, but there's also Medford makes like the Smooth Criminal. Gosh, there's several other companies that make variations on that same platform, and it's just a pleasing platform. Like, and I do like that is getting more popular, so there's more options out there for that. But just one-handed operation in general, or novel designs like the Shark Lock.
Yeah,
seems like any other bar lock, but it's not. I've taken this thing apart. It operates very differently. It's definitely a different take on the same basic concept, and it just works. And it's fun to use, kind of like a chunky transmission on an older truck or sports car. It just has that nice kind of tactile feel to it that a lot of the more modern locks don't have. But that's it for me, is just, novel designs that have some sort of feedback to them, and button lock flippers for the most part, which ProTech has been king of for years.
Yeah. I mean,
Dave over there is a great guy, and he makes a fine product. I'm surprised they haven't done integral folders yet. That seems to be the next new big thing for high-end knives.
Yeah. They do some titanium here and there, but mostly they stick to aluminum. And I don't know as if I've heard of an aluminum integral. Have I? Or maybe not. I mean, I don't think I have.
I don't think there is one. I do
Did
know.
Spartan do an integral aluminum?
Titanium.
Oh, was it titanium? Okay.
I do know that ProTech made a special version of their Siebert collab in hardened steel, and that was integral. So it was a hardened steel, like 4140 stainless steel that was heat treated to the proper Rockwell, and it was an integral folder, and that was like a Blade Show limited they did of that one. And that was pretty cool.
Of a Jane
wear everything else out in your pocket.
Huh.
This was of a Shane Sibbert design.
Yeah,
correct. They did one at Blade Show as a limited, I think, in Atlanta, and our bud Will picked one up. There was only 80 of them made, or something like that.
I love his stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I have one of his the Benchmade MPRs that I converted to. So it was normally a green and bead blasted titanium, and I converted it to black Cerakote titanium, and I made a custom Desert Tan FDE G10, and then converted it to ball bearings. I still have that at home.
It was very smooth.
Yeah, and I don't carry it very often because I'm worried about messing it up. But that was a fun project because I really like Siebert's design. In fact, a lot of our knives use, in fact, all of Three Dog Knife, all of our 3DK knives use titanium, large titanium barrels that you can fit like a lanyard or a side through, and that is inspired by him.
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram, and he'll post pictures, and he takes very good pictures of his work too. And I'll just drool over them, and I'm like, how does one? I mean, I'm not even asking for real, but like, how does one get one? I just would love to have a custom.
Yeah.
And I know the answer. Money. Money is how you get one.
Yeah, I mean, we had a Cybert fixed blade custom in the shop.
It's still upstairs.
Well, but it's spoken for.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had a Cybert fixed blade custom. I mean, I think it was $2,500 to $2,700 for this fixed blade, and I think we maybe owned it for a week, and we had somebody was like, "Hey, I want to trade for that Cybert." And so, send a couple of knives and trade it out of it.
I have 497 Civivis I'm sending you. Can you please?
That's what I really like about the trade program is that we get really unique stuff that's like limited edition or hasn't been available for years and people are looking for. And a guy that, if you're buying $50, $60, $70 or even, $120 and you can trade in a bunch of them, like, if you want to get a $600 knife, it's now attainable because
Or we
just
get
send it.
we get weird stuff that wasn't desirable at the time, but to a collector now is like mid '90s OG Benchmade folders.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
That
yeah.
that were like 40, 50 bucks back in the day, and the only listing is an incomplete listing on like Knife Center, and we have 5 of them, and it's just like cool.
Oh,
we have 2
dude.
CUDA fixed blades in Talonite upstairs. Like, where
Oh,
are you
wow.
ever gonna find a CUDA fixed blade in Talonite?
So
That's
is all of this
impossible to find.
Northern Knives needs to stock some M4 blades handmade in Alabama. Yes, says Edgy America. This is Shane of Edgy American Blades. He's making
Email
stuff.
us.
Yeah.
Email us.
Get in
We're
touch.
always looking for new dealers. Email us, especially M4. We're not going to shy away from M4. Email us.
Yeah, M4 is always good stuff.
I've got a TR4 button lock with Satu Dave hollow regrind Grail. Yeah, no kidding. I love the TR4. The TR3, they just came out with the button lock TR3. That's pretty cool.
The TR3 Integrity.
Yeah,
I think
Integrity.
I
Yep.
think we have 2 left in stock, but I know we have 2 in stock, and I think that was as of a couple hours ago, so they might be sold by now, but I don't know.
Now let me ask you this: do you ever get Walter Brend? Do you ever get a Walter Brend knife in there?
Oh, no, only his designs, not originals.
Not original. I talked to him at Blade Show. I invited him onto the podcast, and at first he said yes, and then like a week later he emailed me back, and he's like, "I'm too old for this. I'm not talking to you for an hour about knives." And I was like, "Oh man, like I love your stuff." And he's like, "Are you gonna be at Blade Show?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Come over and just come meet me." And so I did. I went over and I talked to him for about a half hour, and he showed me. I got to hold some of this. I love the Walter Bren Model 2. It's like, it's just, it's his, I think it's probably his, most well-known
It's his most iconic design.
Yeah, most iconic design. Yeah. Oh, God. I'd love to have one. And to me, it's like, it's right up there with like the Randalls, like just perfect combat knives, with the classic sort of build. Do you get Randalls coming through and all
tons?
All manner.
The thing with Randalls is they don't ever make it to the shelf. They go on a phone call. Oh. So it's like Randalls come through and it's like, "Hey, I got a Randall," and the guy's like, "I'll be right there."
Okay.
So
yeah.
Or we have waiting lists for that.
Or the flip side is that someone who didn't know what it was decided to clean it up with a wire wheel and buzz in their name.
Or they engrave their name in it, and it's like, "Hey, this is worth $800." Well, yeah, it's worth $800 to Brad Smith, but I'm not going to sell this to a Brad Smith, so it's not worth $800 anymore. Like, who gives a shit about Brad Smith?
Yeah,
we've actually done back in the day. What we've done before is like where someone would put their name on it. Is we take it into the workshop and put like a fuller in it and just grind their name out of it, and then it's a custom Randall.
Yeah. Customized by us.
But it's the difference between selling it for $150 and selling it for $750. It has a guy's name on it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it. It just
what was that one? We have one, Sergeant Duffy, and I'm just like, you could have chosen like such a better name to put on this goddamn knife, but Sergeant Duffy.
Sergeant Duffy, yes. That's funny, man. I love it. But on the flip side, I do like seeing like this old K-bar. Well, I guess you can't see it. This old K-bar here has a bunch of it's a Navy issue.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not technically a K-bar, but it's got the guy who owned it put all sorts of little writing and
historical
artwork.
Significance is different than Bob putting his name on it. Or Eric putting his name on it. It's like it's a little different.
Yeah, right. When you're
it tells a story. That's provenance.
Yeah.
It's not I don't want it stolen from me. There's different kinds of engraving.
Right. And it's like sitting on a ship waiting for the invasion, nervous energy going into that sheath. It's not sure. Let me try out my new etching machine. See how this works. Well, guys, it's about time to wrap this up, but I want to thank you guys for coming and coming on the show. It was really nice to meet you too, Dakota, and to have you on here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us on.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure. And so Jim just brought up the brought up the webpage. Just take us through one last time this situation, how long it's open, how people can tell us about the project, the quick and dirty here.
So basically, it's a pre-order. We're already have ordered several batches of knives and hardware that will come in. We'll start working on it, but the ordering stays open till the 24th of this month at midnight. I'll probably choose Eastern Coast time to give people a little bit more time, but I'll close it at midnight. And then that's it.
Actually, yeah, all the copper hardware's already shown up. We're just waiting on
make them and number them, and as they're being made in batches, the moment a batch is done, I'll be back there boxing them up, making sure they're ready to go, and shipping them right out and fulfilling orders as quickly as possible.
And they go out, like I finish them at the end of the day. I finish a batch, and then they go out the next morning. So they should start going out here. Let's see, working on laser stuff, but the Demko, the first batch of Demkos hasn't shown up yet, but as soon as it does, they go directly into Cerakote. After that, they go directly into laser, and then they go directly in the mail.
For extra springs?
That is another thing that was really cool about Demko is taking apart a Demko and a spring goes shooting across the workshop.
Yeah.
But you're never going to find that. So we just called up Demko and we're like, hey, we lost a spring. And then 3 days later, 20 springs and 20 extra screws and all this extra parts. Like they're just,
aware.
Here you go. Yeah, here you go. Screw it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Nobody's ever done that.
Screw it, quite literally. Here you go.
Yeah, it's like if we lost a part to a Spyderco, good luck. They ain't sending you parts.
You could buy a whole new knife, and then you'd have that spring.
We always order extras so we can loot them, but then at the end, you just end up with a bunch of extra parts you can't do anything with.
Yeah.
400 bug out scales.
I mean, we still have bug out scales to this day, just blue bug out scales laying around that we don't know what to do with because we replaced them all with titanium.
Melt them down and make guitar picks. It's not what else are you going to do with them? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. And
thank you very much, guys.
Thanks to all the Gentleman Junkies and other patrons, but especially you Gentleman Junkies, and for these guys giving you the opportunity to win that awesome knife that Craig Vincent won. Congratulations, sir. Big E, that knife nut. Have a great night to you, sir. And to all the rest of you watching, be sure to join us on Sunday for an awesome interview with Billy Ford of Apex Alchemy. We have a great conversation, and then keep joining us every Sunday and Wednesday and Thursday. All right, for Jim and for Dakota and Mike, thanks. I'm Bob DeMarco saying until next time, don't take dull for an answer.